Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Should You Play, where I show you some spoiler-free gameplay and give you my thoughts after playing new games for a few hours, while also highlighting and checking out at least one of the PlayStation Plus games for each month. In this video I'm playing one of the September 2025 PlayStation Plus games, Psychonauts 2, the sequel to the 2005 platformer that released in 2021. For years I knew of the Psychonaut name, but beyond that, nothing else. I never played it myself, I didn't have any friends who played it, and until the sequel released, I didn't hear anything about it either. Now having played Psychonauts 2 though, I'm a bit frustrated that I'm just getting into the franchise because they've done a really great job with this, so let's just talk about it.
Let's roll!
Psychonauts 2 opens with a pretty in-depth recap of events from the 2005 game, as well as the 2017 VR title, so if you're like me and didn't play them before this one, you won't feel completely lost. That said, it's clear that having played them helps give some extra context. In this sequel though, you continue playing as Raz, a new intern at Psychonauts headquarters, picking up right where the 2017 game ended.
My name is Raz, and I'm the new intern.
Beyond that description, I think it's probably better for me to avoid giving any more story details because it opens up pretty quickly and doesn't waste your time getting straight to the plot. What really stood out to me though is how well the writing balances the humor and emotional depth throughout the game. It has this unassuming, quirky vibe on the surface, but the story ends up being way more clever and heartfelt than I expected it to be. The humor actually got some pretty decent laughs out of me, and the emotional beats land really well too.
I guess miracles do happen.
It's not just silly fun, it's smartly written and knows when to be serious, and it does a great job of balancing the two without undercutting either side. At its core, Psychonauts 2 feels like a platforming game straight out of the early 2000s, but in the best possible way, quirky, open, and full of personality. You've got your standard platforming moves like running, jumping, climbing, and attacking, in addition to a suite of psychic powers like shooting blasts, rolling around on a levitation orb, hovering to cross gaps, and more. These powers aren't just for combat either, as they're tied into the overall traversal and puzzle solving as well. You might burn posters to reveal hidden paths, roll across dangerous flooring using your levitation orb, or even peer at the world through someone else's perspective to uncover clues.
Aha! That's it, Harold!
The main hub is fairly large, and the levels where you go into other characters' minds often look chaotic, but navigation is always intuitive, and I never once found myself confused as to where I should be going. The pacing is excellent, mixing dialogue, exploration, and action so that you're constantly moving forward without things dragging for too long. There are also side missions sprinkled in alongside the main story, which gives you even more reason to explore and experiment with your powers. That said, the game does throw a lot of collectibles at you: figments, memory vaults, half-a-minds, and plenty of others.
Lots of figments of Lobato's imagination in here.
Most of them are tied to a rank system that lets you upgrade your abilities, increase your max health, and tweak your powers, so they are rewarding, but sometimes they just break the pacing. Instead of rushing through a dramatic escape or chasing down the next objective, I often found myself doubling back just to clear a room of shiny things before moving on.
So, like a scavenger hunt?
You also unlock more abilities as you progress through the game, and you can equip up to 4 at once, but swapping between them felt a little clunky, especially when you're solving a puzzle or in the middle of a fight. One other small note I have is that I did struggle with depth perception quite a bit here. I was generally fine when I was moving alongside flat surfaces, but in areas where you're moving around platforms of different heights or trying to grab items in the air, it can feel a little too finicky.
Do not bring it up again.
Combat is probably the weakest part of Psychonauts 2. Aside from 1 or 2 bosses, I never really struggled with any of the fights, and while the enemy designs are great, many of them personifying mental concepts like sensors, regrets, or bad ideas, the actual fighting can get repetitive fast. The different psychic powers add some flavor, but overall there's not a lot of strategy required, so it can just feel like a simple detour between puzzles or cutscenes. Boss battles are more memorable thanks to their creativity, especially since they rely more on pattern recognition and using your abilities rather than dealing damage, but like I said, they aren't too tough either.
Well, it has its fun bits.
If you do find yourself struggling with the combat though, the game does include options like invincibility, no fall damage, and narrative combat in the accessibility menu, which is great for players who just want to focus on the story without having to replay sections. The art direction is easily one of Psychonauts 2's strongest aspects. The surreal, imaginative level design constantly ties back to the narrative and the characters' personalities, like teeth scattered everywhere in Lobato's mind, or worlds that morph to reflect someone else's mental state. It feels cohesive and metaphorical, not just weird for the sake of being weird.
That's cute.
It also manages to keep the spirit of the original game's style with unusual color palettes and designs, while modernizing it with sharper visuals and smoother animations. The music is also solid across the board, and the voice acting is excellent, though I did notice dialogue gets cut off pretty often, either because you triggered the next scene too quickly or because the timing didn't quite match the distance you need to travel.
Of course. Nope.
Transitions between gameplay and cutscenes are almost seamless though, and with only a few real loading screens in the game, between the cutscenes and actual gameplay, there's plenty to take in and love. Performance was generally solid, however I did run into a few really minor instances of stuttering during loading screens and had a couple of odd audio issues where the dialogue levels were noticeably quieter than they should have been. Since cutscenes are rendered in-game, you might also have objects awkwardly float into view if you've been tossing things around before a conversation. It's not game-breaking, but it can be distracting. Aside from those minor quirks, load times aren't too bad and the actual gameplay runs smoothly. No crashes, no major bugs, and no other real issues to talk about.
And we have a winner!
Psychonauts 2 honestly surprised me. I didn't think that I was going to dislike it, but I also didn't think it'd hook me as much as it did either.
Ooh, sorry. Could you repeat that?
The creativity in the level design, the mix of humor and heart, and the way that it plays with platforming conventions really reminded me of games like It Takes Two or Split Fiction, and it's really refreshing to see some innovation in what initially appears to be a standard platformer.
No room in here for any bad ideas but my own.
It'll probably take you somewhere between 10 to 20 hours to finish, depending on how you want to explore, and there's definitely replay value if you're chasing collectibles or hidden areas as well. For me, that length feels just right though. It never overstays its welcome, and it's packed with personality from start to finish. If you haven't played the game yet, I think longtime fans of the 2005 title will love it, but even if you're new to the series like me, it's well worth your time.
I think that about explains it.
As always though, this is just my opinion. Whether you're just testing out your psychic powers, or you're already well on your way to becoming a full-fledged Psychonaut, let me know in the comments what you think of Psychonauts 2.
Bye!
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.